Well met, my friends. My name is Kai Herberts and welcome to my show Gamesäge, where today I'm talking about the game Race for the Galaxy by Tom Lehmann. And unfortunately I don't have my tripod with me, so I'm doing a selfie in order to talk about the game. And what's good about the game is that it's a very quick 2 to 4 player game, and it's still complex enough that it's interesting in the sense that when you're playing it for the first time or the first few times, there's different routes you can take. You can either try to conquer other worlds and get your victory points with that, or develop your civilization and get victory points like this, or trade a bit and get these extra victory chits and win the game with that. So there's different possibilities, and the cards are very colorful, and the theme is also very well done. Unfortunately, it's a bit light on the player interaction, but with later expansion that flaw has been mitigated. Today I'm going to talk about Race for the Galaxy by Tom Lehmann, and it's a game for 2 to 4 players, which is about building a civilization in a science fiction kind of setting. And essentially the game is divided into these different phases. So you can see here: explore, develop, settle, trade, and produce. But not all of these phases are played each turn. At the start of the game, each player gets a random homeworld, and this homeworld typically influences what strategy would be beneficial. And you also get to draw 6 cards and keep 4. And the selection of those cards is one, you're probably going to keep cards that mesh well with your homeworld, and also you have to think what cards do the other players need, and then maybe hold on to those cards so that they don't go to the discard pile and get shuffled back in once you're through the deck, and influence what cards the other people can possibly draw. So these different locations are here. Epsilon Eridani says in phase 3, +1 point when you want to settle on military worlds, or rather conquer worlds. And you can also consume trade goods for 1 victory point and 1 card. It's worth 1 victory point. This one, Old Earth, is worth 2 victory points. They get to draw 1 more card if they use the trade ability. And as it says here, you can discard up to 2 goods for 1 victory point each. Alpha Centauri comes into play with a windfall goods. So typically the first move would be to go with consume trade and sell off these rare elements. And they also settle easier on mining worlds. The Earth Lost Colony has would produce novelty goods. And New Sparta starts with a lot of military power, so they typically want to get more cards that increase their military power, then settle on these military worlds, which are denoted by the red numbers, whereas all the other worlds are with black numbers. So let's assume we have Alpha Centauri as our starting location, which starts with a rare elements, windfall goods, and it's easier to settle on mining worlds. And we're getting 6 starting cards: Malevolent Life Forms, Spice World, Reptilian Uplift Race, Mining Conglomerate, Reptilian Avian Uplift Race, and the Destroyed World, which is a mining world for 0 points, but it comes with rare elements, windfall goods. And so essentially, because we've got these guys who are good at mining, we probably want to keep the Mining Conglomerate, and I'm not sure about these uplift races. Maybe get rid of the Malevolent Life Forms and that, and keep those for something like this. But if you had the military guys, then because these three are with the red colored numbers, they are military worlds, so you probably want to keep those. Each turn every player secretly selects what action to take, and this is one of these parts where there's a little bit of player interaction coming in. Later on with expansions, there's some more direct ways to interact where you can actually conquer other players' homeworlds. Not homeworlds, but the planets that they have. But initially, the only thing you can do is to pick a card and anticipate what are the other people doing. For instance, you could play a card that says here consume trade, and essentially you get the bonus that you can sell one of your trade goods. But if you don't have a world yet which has a trade good or which has trade goods, then you can hope that somebody is going to place a settle phase, and then you're able to place one of your worlds with a windfall goods and sell those in phase 4. And the individual phases are, phase 1 is explore, and there's 2 different cards. So in the exploration phase, everybody draws 2 cards and gets to keep one of them. And you can give yourself a boost by playing this card where you draw an additional one and keep an additional one, or this alternate version where you draw 5 additional cards, which is obviously important if you're looking for a specific card to play, and then you have a better chance to draw a useful card out of the stack. Second phase is the development phase, where the bonus for the person who plays it is that they get the developments 1 cheaper. And the settle phase allows you to play planet cards, and the bonus for the player who activated this phase is that after settling they get to draw an extra card. In the consumption phase, in the trade phase, you can either, as I said, with consume trade, sell goods to draw more cards, or you can get double the victory points. And the last phase, produce, allows all planets to produce new goods, and the bonus is that your windfall worlds, which normally don't replenish, one of them also gets to replenish trade goods. Alright, let's quickly go through the different cards that are there in Race for the Galaxy. So here this is a development, which is denoted by this diamond symbol. And it also tells you that it's something for phase 4, deficit spending. May discard up to 2 cards to gain 1 victory point apiece. These victory points may not be doubled. And here, next one is a planet, produces novelty goods, and when you sell novelty goods, you draw 2 extra cards. Rebel outposts. You need 5 military power to settle on it, but once you have it, it gives you +1 military power, and it's worth a lot of victory points. And also these rebel cards are important because other cards influence these types. So the game ends when one player has either 12 cards in his civilization, or all of the victory point chips are used up. And then whoever has the most victory points wins the game. So you typically want to play very high point cards. And the way that these cards are played are depending on the different phases. So developments are played in the development phase. And here you can see it's a 1-point card. So you need to play one other card as a resource to put it down, and here 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, 6 points, and these are actually the big money cards because they give you a lot of victory points in the end. Similarly, for planets you also need to play cards or discard cards as resources, so this one for 0, then 1 point, 2 points, 3, and so on and so forth, up to 6. But it's different with military worlds. They're also played in the settle phase, but in order to play those, you don't need to discard any cards, you just need to have the required military power. And they go up to 7. Once you play those military cards, they usually come with other extra military power, so it then gets even easier to play those cards. But there are usually some developments that you can play to increase your military power. For instance, we have the Space Marines here. It's a 2-point development, so 1 victory point, but you need to discard two cards to play it, and it gives you permanently +2 military power. And here there's another one where it says dropships. They cost 4 and they give you 3 military power. Pursue your dreams and see you next time.